We have been programmed to fail, not just personally, but as a species. From an evolutionary lens, our survival has involved actively participating in our own undoing, perpetuating war, disease, environmental collapse, adversariality, and disconnection. This programming doesn't just come from the stories we absorb and pass down to one another, but from their deeply embedded ideologies that require participation in a system that perpetuates and reinforces conformity and punishes deviation. From the moment we enter this world, we are fed a narrative that struggle is expected and honorable, that suffering is required, expected, and even framed as sacred, that worth must be earned, often through self-abandonment and sacrifice, that power is dangerous in ourselves and in others. It's a control system and mass limitation program masquerading as how things are or how they have to be, and maybe even is morally righteous, right? It's time to dismantle it. You were never meant to live inside the prison made of someone else's fear-based ideas. There is another way. And it begins with remembering who you are and were before the noise, the shame, and all the rules. It begins with the sacred act of unlearning, breaking down and breaking apart and deprogramming, and a kind of blessed form of disintegration, right? Because we're taught we have to pay our dues. You don't get something for nothing. There are no free lunches, and money doesn't grow on trees. These phrases couldn't be further from the truth. They don't just shape our mindset, our expectations and approaches. They sculpt our neurology. They reinforce a worldview of hierarchy, lack, competition, opposition, and punishment. A system where someone always has power over you, where you must fight or submit to belong. None of that is true. It's the very well thought out, architected system programming us into limitation and powerlessness. Our current society is structured on obedience and conditioned compliance, not true inner authority or liberation. We are programmed to anticipate hardship, to equate effort with value, to fear ease, softness, and receiving, to believe that joy must be earned and freedom must be granted. It's built into our religions, our school systems, our work structures, and our language. We internalize beliefs like, it's a hard knock life. Life isn't fair. What comes around goes around. An eye for an eye, right? These beliefs normalize struggle, vengeance, and a perspective on karma that paints it as justice based on punishment. This creates a psychological underlayment of self-surveillance, scarcity, guilt, and shame. I'm not talking about healthy self-awareness or self-reflection here. I'm talking about an abusive and coercive form of external control that we internalize, right? And an inherited and passed down way of perceiving reality that through reinforcement and mass adoption appears very convincing, but isn't actually the truth of how things really are or how they operate. Yet we've been projecting them out for so long and gotten completely lost in the drama as if it's real. It's high time we uninstall those programs, not by force, but by higher will, divine will, and by seeing them for what they are, not you, and not the world you want to live in, raise your children in, or build a new world around. So many parts of our identity have been shaped by survival, profound and extensive limitation based on mass misperception, people-pleasing, second-guessing and shrinking to fit, or rising to an imagined challenge based upon a weird and distorted heroic idea. This is a great time to mention how in the Sovereign Self course, I lead you through the depths of your own particular version of that limitation conditioning and how it has affected your self-concept and how to rewrite it. It will bring you back to your authentic self. As I was creating it and editing it and going through the process of taking it, it profoundly affected me. And I've been doing self-concept work for years. This process is powerful. It's 31 days of deep energetic repatterning and embodiment, which reconnects you to your original blueprint. So if you're interested, you can check it out in the links below. So let's get back to building a new world, right? Imagine a world without hierarchies and power structures. Most of us have been trained to operate within hierarchies, to seek approval from someone above us and fear rejection from that same structure. It is incredibly tense. It's like walking a tightrope. Whether it's a boss, a parent, a partner, a deity, a belief system, or society at large, we're taught from a very young age to outsource our power and live with a lot of tension, really tight stretching, right? Reactivity and unrelenting oppositionalism. Power is profoundly distorted and becomes something we chase, gather, and gain and defend or defend against, rather than embody in a healthy and whole and empowered way. Because real power does not dominate or coerce. It doesn't rely on compliance or control tactics. True power is all about presence and the capacity to remain clear and open and sovereign, regardless of the external noise, right? To reclaim a true understanding of your inherent power, you must deprogram and dismantle the deeply rooted lies of worthlessness and step outside of the systems which set you up for failure. This means that identifying the phrases and mantras running in your mind that talk you down and redirect you, interrupting those thought patterns and replacing them with new truths, feeling into this new and perhaps initially uncomfortable freedom. It's a strange feeling at first of not needing to suffer or effort to feel valid or legitimate. It's really an art form, like you're neurosculpting, right? Because beliefs are malleable software that can be molded and modified or overwritten with conscious intention and aligned frequency. So this practice of rewriting transcends and includes the practice of affirmations. It expands out from and penetrates deep into a highly effective embodied rewriting, disengaging from beliefs rooted in hierarchy and victimhood and karmic punishment and self-limitation. So take a moment to ask yourself, what stories am I repeating in my head? Whose voice am I hearing and heeding and allowing to influence me? What is the dialogue going on in my head? What consequence, punishment, inevitability, result am I afraid of, or have I been taught to expect? And then ask yourself, well, what if it is really safe to be happy and joyful? What if ease is not just allowed, but expected and valued? What if I didn't need to prove anything to myself or anyone else to be worthy of, fill in the blank, happiness, joy, success, love, my dreams coming true? Because the body and your whole life is a projection of consciousness, if you clear and therefore change the film it's being projected through, you change the outcome, the bodily experience, and your whole life. After excavating these films and healing the deeply ingrained roots keeping us projecting through them, we can intentionally and powerfully withdraw awareness from those old stories, fears, and identity structures, which is all just programming, right? And stop feeding them the energetic currency of your attention, belief, and adherence in each new moment. Our attention has a tremendous amount of power. Why do you think there is so much effort exerted to try and attract it into and keep it trapped in your external environment? The news, television, social media. Get into the habit of stepping into the present moment, which is the only true reality, and decide in the present moment what you want to be true. Practicing this conscious presence re-sculpts the body, mind, and nervous system by turning away from and turning off these habitual mental patterns, which they come from the past. They only exist in the now moment because you're bringing them in through the faculty of memory and habit, programming. Do you see how that works? The present moment is free of all that until you bring the past in through memory. So start training yourself to remember further back into what existed before all that, before the past, before the programming. You find that in the present moment. No future, no past, no memory, just now. This increasingly creates a very powerful returning to and restoring of a more open and neutral state, which is true freedom, true power, and true reality. So many of us live under the watchful eye of these inner tyrants, a series of inner voices that punish us for so many natural, normal, and healthy things, right? Certain feelings, wanting certain things, resting too long, or failing to meet expectations or live up to ideas that were implanted in us. These voices are not who you really are. They are echoes from the past programming. Let's elevate our experience of desire and will and effort as a flow of energy that is safe and delightful and exciting to tap into. Because healing and transformation accelerate through alignment with these higher frequency states like peace, neutrality, enthusiasm, and joy. So meet that old voice with truth and compassion anytime you hear it contracting you. I'm so sorry you believe that you must earn goodness. I release the belief that I must earn my goodness. I'm so sorry you consented to the myth that suffering makes you holy. I do not consent to the myth that suffering makes me holy. I'm so sorry you didn't believe that joy is your birthright. I reclaim joy as my birthright. Each time you speak the truth to this inner punisher, the old structure starts to weaken, begins to break apart. Each time you allow softness and grace and ease, the program dissolves. Change doesn't have to be a battle. It's what naturally happens when you stop agreeing with the old frequency and allowing it to continue playing out. This world trains us to expect and tolerate and bend around pain, to fear our deep desires and longing, to brace for inevitable consequences and punishment. But there is another way, and we can step into it and start programming ourselves to live in it. You are allowed to succeed. You are allowed to feel safe. You are allowed to thrive without earning it through sacrifice. This is not a delusion. It is human evolution through successive, unrelenting reclamation of our attention to the present moment. And we all need to participate in it. So let's all deprogram the limitation and failure conditioning, and restore our relationship with power and reclaim our sovereignty from systems that would rather see you conforming and compliant, and just going along with the way things are and not doing anything different, not changing things too much, right? The current limitation programming doesn't want you to be truly free. Choose to be free. Choose to follow your joy. Choose to engage deeply with the unlearning process. Being still and silent and deeply aware dissolves the unconscious scripts. This kind of presence interrupts the old paradigm. Spend more time in that state. Meditate. And then meditate some more. Because the new earth does not need more obedient, fearful, sick, and exhausted citizens. It needs free, creative, and sovereign beings. Thank you for joining me today. If you're ready to stop spinning out the same reality and are ready to start creating from alignment, clarity, and true inner power, check out my courses below. They will change everything for you. Till next time.